All right, guys, welcome to the show. Happy Sunday. Going to be doing a quick video here today talking about the top 5 wide receivers for fantasy football 2023. Yes, very early, super early list here for you as we start to mastermind, start to brainstorm, start to figure out and carve out the top 5 wide receivers, the guys that are going to be drafted on top next year. Now, as you know, my style, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I don't do cookie cutter rankings, right? The top guys that finished on top last year aren't going to finish on top 5 this year, right? We saw with Cooper Kupp getting hurt. And now people are like, oh, well, you know, you can't factor in injury. Well, injury counts. And when I was doing my rankings, I said, listen, Cooper Kupp is going to decline. And yes, injuries do count. And now Cooper Kupp is not going to finish as the number 1 wide receiver. Yet everybody told you, draft Cooper Kupp as the 1 receiver. And I said, injury's going to happen. Super Bowl hangover is going to happen. Stafford was looking banged up, going into the season. He has been banged up for several games, now mid-season, mid to later season, he's been banged up. And this is all stuff that I factor into my 16-round draft search, and that comes out in April every year. But again, we're masterminding here right now. We're talking about the potential top 5 wide receivers going into 2023. It doesn't mean that that's what it's going to be. Again, there's so many variables that we have to address at the end of the season, how the draft's going to be, and there's so many other variables, but we're just going to have fun here. We're just going to talk and project forward, have some fun here early, kind of mid-season here of 2022, projected in 2023. I like to do some very super early rankings to keep the entertainment there, keep the fun there, and think forward, all right? Now, before I get in this show, before we get these 5 receivers, again, head on over to Hooters.com or download the app right now. Use promo code FFC20 to save $10 on order of 30 or more on takeout or delivery, guys. Tons of games going on right now. We got World Cup, we got UFC, we got Sunday football, we got Monday football, we got Thursday. Order in some wings, order some nachos. They got some football bundles right now, guys. Amazing deals. Hooters.com. Go to the website, download the app. Code you want to use FFC20 to save on your wings. $10 on order of 30 or more on takeout or delivery. Select locations. Hooters, that's what I'm ordering tonight, guys, all right? Very important. And secondly, guys, if you have not done so, I play DFS on PrizePicks, prizepicks.com. The code you want to use is DFS line to save 100, to double your first, not even save. I'm so used to saving. No, what I mean is double your first deposit up to $100, guys. That's prizepicks.com, DFS line, and it's really cool because you basically take more or less, right, on the player, on props, right? So Zeke Elliott, is he going more or less than a certain number? You parlay 2 to 5 of them and win. It's so much easier to win on this platform. That's what I found from my experience, right? Prizepicks.com, DFS line, go experience it, try it out right now, all right? So let's talk about the top 5 receivers for 2023, how it's going to play out, how it's going to lay out. Now, the way that it sits right now, the rankings sit at like this going into Week 12 here. Now, I've already had a couple games on Thanksgiving for Week 12, but Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, and Cooper Kupp running at the top 5. Obviously, Cooper Kupp's going to fall out of the top 5. CeeDee Lamb is currently sitting as the real top 5 because Cooper Kupp is going to be injured. Not going to finish the season here on IR. So, again, Stephon Diggs, Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb as a top 5. Now, when I was laying this out on who the top 5 are going to be, it was a lot harder to lay out than when I was doing running backs. Because running backs, you kind of get that guaranteed performance. You kind of, what you see is almost what you get, barring any type of injury. So when I was looking at the top 5 for this year, this upcoming year in 2023, there's a lot of things you got to factor in. Now, the talent of Jamar Chase, he's banged up. He's been on IR. He's only played, 7 games this year, right? But he's still sitting 50th amongst wide receivers in PPR rankings as it sits right now. So I look at a guy like Jamar Chase and assume that he's going to be healthy next year, right? You got to factor a down year. We saw with Derrick Henry last year. That's why I'm wearing a Titans hat. Everybody was down on Derrick Henry this year because of an injury. And I said, no, what goes down must come up. He bounced back, and I had him ahead of guys like Jonathan Taylor coming off that pinnacle year. So you got to factor in regression for most of these guys. I mean, Justin Jefferson, I think he stays steady as long as he gets a good quarterback. He still continues to perform. Jefferson should be solid. But you got to take a look at a guy like, Jamar Chase coming off that injury. He's going to bounce back. So I think Jamar Chase definitely needs to be in this list, which again, I'm going to lay out top 5 in a second. Also, other guys, Deebo Samuel had a bit of a down year. He was high last year. I said, listen, he was high last year because he had a lot of rushing touchdowns. Things happen, regression happens. He's not going to get the same amount of rushing touchdowns. Sure enough, he's only played, 9 games this year, and he's regressed. He's sitting 21 amongst wide receivers. I told you to kind of be careful with the regression there. Maybe he bounces back up, right? So there's so many variables as I'm coming to this list, and we don't really know. Hopkins, who's only played half the season, has been tearing it up. Maybe he's top 5 next year. We don't know. It all is predicated on how these guys finish at the end of the season, how the draft lines up, because again, they may draft other receivers that may dip into the volume of these stud wide receivers. You never know, right? So let's go over a top 5 the way I think it may lay out. And again, Diggs is number 1. I'm not copying and pasting here. He may not finish number 1, but as of right now, Diggs has to be in the top 5, barring any type of injury. He's as consistent as they come. He's got a great quarterback. So I got to put Diggs in here, maybe as number 1 or possibly number 2 or 3. Again, it depends on how the year finishes. He's definitely in there. Justin Jefferson, who's sitting at 2. Again, I don't copy and paste, but he's got to be in that top 5 conversation based on targets, based on volume, and based on talent. You can't deny. So let's put those guys in there for sure. Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, CeeDee Lamb. This is where I start seeing some variances here for sure. Now, I see Amon-Ra St. Brown is sitting at 8, sliding into that top 10, depending on how good Goff gets next year, the improvements they make. But Detroit has definitely been seeming to step up this year. Amon-Ra has been a big factor of that with his 88 targets, 65 receptions on the season, 4 receiving touchdowns. And I think he's missed a game or so, and he hasn't been 100%. And that offense took a while to gel, right? They've had some injuries, especially at the running back position with DeAndre Swift and other things, right? But now they're in the groove. And Amon-Ra, again, is proving that it could be in there. So I think Amon-Ra St. Brown here in top 5 conversation. I'm laying it out, guys, and we'll lay out the top 5 here as we're masterminding. A.J. Brown, again, hasn't had the opportunity this year, has not proven. He's 9, but can he crack the top 5? I don't know. We'll have to see. Christian Kirk, been showing a lot of promise, sitting top 10 in PPR 12 weeks in. There's some talk there. Amari Cooper. I like Chris Olave. I think Chris Olave needs a good, consistent quarterback. He can be top 5, but I think he'll still be value next year, predicated on where he finishes this year. If he finishes 10th, maybe he's going to be around 10, but I think that there's a ceiling there depending on the options. So, again, looking at this, you got to kind of see and skate to where the puck is going to be, not to where the puck is. I like Diggs in the top 5. Justin Jefferson at 2. I think Tyreek Hill falls off next year, depending. Maybe Tua gets even better next year. Maybe they do better. But such a pinnacle year for Tyreek. Amazing. Sitting 3rd. Adams is in there. Is Carr going to be returning? We don't know. So I'm going to bump Adams out of there. CeeDee Lamb, is he going to continue doing well? Jalen Waddle, what happens with Tyreek? Do we factor in a possible injury? He's been injured in the past. Is he going to get injured again? We don't know. Again, doing these early drafts is very, very hard to gauge. But I got to go here, Diggs. I got to go Jefferson. I got to go Jamar Chase in the top 5. So I got him maybe at 3, factoring in he has a bounce back. After that, it's a bit of a crapshoot, really. It's a guessing game. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is worthy of a top 5. I think he gets better and better. So I got him at 4. And to round out the 5, again, maybe Tyreek Hill, maybe Waddle, maybe CeeDee Lamb, maybe someone else emerges. Maybe T. Higgins takes a step up next year. Maybe Deebo Samuel factors back in. So much uncertainty. Maybe Amari Cooper, right? Maybe he gets going with Watson and he becomes a 5. So maybe Cooper at 5. So, again, with wide receiver, mid-season, and that's why we're doing this. We're doing this to have fun, to project forward. Even for me, who lives and breathes this stuff, is having a hard time gauging the top 5. But again, for the mainstream, what they're going to do is they're going to say, these guys finished on top, let's put them on top again. Not the case. We saw this, guys. We saw it with Deebo Samuel. Like I said, we saw it with Cooper Kupp. It's not the way that it works, guys. All right? So, you got to project forward and think, what could happen? This happened. What are the variances? What's going to happen? Christian Kirk, who would have thought he would have been top 10? I had him as a sleeper. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a sleeper. Great round 4 to 5 value. He's in the top 10, right? Chris Olave was a sleeper pick of mine. He's sitting top 12. Who would have thought that? The Chiefs just wouldn't have had him there, right? Christian Watson, who's emerging right now. Could he be Aaron Rodgers' top receiver next year? We don't know. Maybe he's a top 5. Maybe he finishes this year strong. He's had 2 consecutive weeks, very touchdown dependent, but maybe he continues and becomes strong and becomes the next Devontae Adams for Aaron Rodgers. He's a top 5 receiver who was ranked, I think, 60th or 70th or 80th on the Chiefs' rankings going into the season. I told you to stash Watson. He was a 2nd-round pick for the Packers. So again, guys, you got to factor in all this stuff, think outside the box. But again, as of right now, Diggs, Jefferson, Jamar Chase. I'm going to go here and say Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then Amari Cooper as a top 5. Cooper doesn't have that youth, so maybe you can go Christian Kirk a little bit in there. Maybe you can slide in a Deebo Samuel. That fifth spot right now is totally questionable for me. Maybe Devontae Adams has a better year next year, wherever he lands, or if he stays with the Raiders. I don't know, right? Nobody knows. But as of right now, Diggs, Jefferson, and I think Jamar Chase are kind of like locked into that top 5, and then after that it becomes a bit of a crapshoot. Again, as of right now, I've got placeholders here with Amon-Ra and, Amari Cooper, Christian Kirk, maybe Chris Olave, anyone can slide in at the top 5. So let me know below, guys, who you think is going to be that 5th receiver. Do you agree with this list, or are you just going to copy and paste like the Chiefs do every single year, which ends up being wrong every single year? Hopefully you're not doing that, all right? If you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe. Again, head on over to Hooters.com. FFC20 is the code. Save on some wings. Go order some food right now. I appreciate you guys. Hope you guys are enjoying this early talk. Again, drop your starts and sits questions below if you have them for the weeks, whatever you're watching. It's whatever week. Just list the week you're watching and drop a question below, because people are going to be watching this more of an evergreen kind of video leading up to next season. So drop your questions below, guys. I appreciate you. We'll talk soon. I'm out.